Do you think the American dream is dying when millions wake up on the sidewalks not knowing where their next meal will come from? This is the daily reality in some states that sparkle like diamonds on the surface, but are hiding deep poverty and a serious homelessness crisis. What is the cause, and is your state safe? In this video, we explore the 10 fastest collapsing states in the United States, where economic and social challenges are shaking entire communities. From the highest poverty rates in the country to streets filled with homeless people. This journey will take you through shocking numbers that will make you question the future of the country. Start exploring now. Mississippi. Mississippi, a state renowned for its southern charm and soulful blues, hits a few sour notes when it comes to poverty and homelessness. With 19% of the population living below the poverty line, the highest rate in the country, it's tough to tap your foot to a cheerful tune. The state's economy, heavily reliant on agriculture and the service sector, means there are few steady jobs. The median household income is just $55,060, while the unemployment rate stands at 3.1%, making Mississippi's job market as reliable as a cardboard umbrella in a storm. But what's the real pain? Many residents are struggling to make ends meet while juggling low wages and rising costs, often spending more than half their income just to keep a roof over their heads. Education doesn't fare much better. Ranked 49th nationwide in overall child welfare, Mississippi schools leave too many residents ill-prepared for higher-paying careers. This creates a vicious cycle of poverty that's harder to break than an old family recipe for deep-fried everything. Healthcare access is as elusive as a summer breeze in the Mississippi Delta. With 13.7% of adults uninsured and 36% living in areas with limited medical services, getting care often feels like winning the lottery minus the jackpot. Even grocery shopping is a logistical feat. In Mississippi, 20% of residents live in food deserts, with many driving 40 miles or more to access fresh produce. Meanwhile, a modest two-bedroom apartment averages $1,000 per month, while most low-income families can only afford $500, turning the housing gap into a canyon. But it's not all cornbread gloom and doom. Initiatives like the Mississippi Housing Partnership and Mississippi Works are striving to rewrite the state's story. These programs help families secure affordable housing and provide job training in industries like renewable energy. Organizations such as the Mississippi Food Network serve over 430,000 people annually. However, true progress demands systemic investment, better schools, improved healthcare, and stronger infrastructure. Mississippi may have a rich history and culture, but its struggles underscore a harsh truth: a charming facade can't patch up deep cracks in the foundation. If a state steeped in resilience and tradition can falter this much, the rest of us might want to take notice. And speaking of neighboring states with troubles of their own, buckle up. We're crossing into a state battling hurricanes, homelessness, and poverty rates nearly as staggering. Stay tuned for what lies ahead. Louisiana. Louisiana, a state famous for jazz music, gumbo, and Mardi Gras, has a vibrant rhythm that can make even the dullest Monday feel like a celebration. However, beneath its lively surface, Louisiana struggles with a grim reality. It has the second highest poverty rate in the United States, standing at nearly 19%. The economy here is as fragile as a Mardi Gras bead, beautiful on the surface but quick to shatter under pressure. Over-reliance on oil, gas, and tourism has left thousands of people unemployed whenever oil prices drop or hurricanes hit the coastline. Speaking of hurricanes, Louisiana seems to be Mother Nature's punching bag. From Hurricane Katrina, which displaced 1.5 million people and caused catastrophic damages totaling $161 billion, to Hurricane Ida, which added another $75 billion in losses, this state barely has time to catch its breath or keep its roofs intact. Housing doesn't make things any easier. In New Orleans, where the average rent for a two-bedroom apartment ranges between $1,312 and $1,852 per month, families earning the state's median income of $58,229 are left praying to the gods for affordable living. Many people spend more than 30% of their income on rent, forcing them to make tough choices like paying for housing, food, or healthcare. Speaking of healthcare, we haven't even touched on Louisiana's uninsured rate of 10%, one of the highest in the nation. But for single mother Marie in Baton Rouge, these statistics are all too real. Juggling 2 jobs and bringing home just $2,800 a month, she skips meals so her kids can eat while waiting for her hurricane-damaged home to be repaired. With a weary expression, she admits, "There are days I feel like I'm letting my kids down, making you wonder just how many other Marys are out there." The fallout doesn't stop at individual families. Louisiana's struggles have fueled a rise in homelessness, with 3,150 people reported homeless in 2024, and it holds the highest violent crime rate in the United States, according to the FBI. Yet, amidst the chaos, there's a glimmer of hope. Nonprofit organizations like the Louisiana Housing Alliance are working to provide more affordable housing, while the Make It Right Foundation has rebuilt 150 sustainable homes in the lower 9th Ward of New Orleans. There's an irony that not everyone notices in a state renowned for its resilience. It's grassroots efforts that keep Louisiana's spirit alive as larger systems crumble. From Louisiana's hurricane-ravaged communities, we head west to a state grappling with a very different crisis. Here, homelessness and poverty disproportionately impact Native Americans and Hispanic communities, where cultural heritage collides with systemic neglect. If you're ready to move on, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. New Mexico. Mexico. New Mexico, the land of charm, seems to be luring fewer wallets these days. With a poverty rate of 17.8%, one of the highest in the country, the state is a stark reminder that beauty doesn't pay the bills. Residents are often faced with a maddening choice: take a low-paying job miles away or stay in under-resourced areas, stuck in a never-ending financial disaster. Rural isolation is no joke when job opportunities are scarcer than shade in the desert. The unemployment rate here is 4.4%, and the median household income of $62,125 can barely keep up with rising rents. Speaking of housing, more than 21% of households spend more than half their income on rent, with affordable options as elusive as the Yeti in the Sangre de Cristo Mountains. Healthcare is not much easier to find. In this vast state, more than 1 million New Mexicans live in areas with such a shortage of healthcare workers that a routine doctor's visit can become a road trip. For seniors like Juanita, a grandmother raising 3 grandchildren on $1,200 a month in Social Security, this is not only inconvenient but a recipe for misery. Her mobile home needs repairs, but every penny goes to keeping the electricity running. "I just want to give my grandchildren a better life," she said, her voice shaking. Her struggle mirrors that of thousands across the state, especially in Native American communities, where 30% of Navajo Nation households still lack running water, a statistic that feels more like 1824 rather than 2024. Despite its cultural riches, New Mexico's challenges are piling up faster than dust on an Albuquerque windowsill. Homelessness increased 48% in 2023 alone compared to the previous year, and the state ranks 49th in high school graduation rates. Amid the hardships, however, there is a glimmer of hope. Organizations like the New Mexico Coalition to End Homelessness are providing rental assistance to thousands, and federal grants are finally reaching Native American reservations to fund basic utilities and housing improvements. If resilience were currency, New Mexico would be one of the wealthiest states in the Union. From the New Mexico desert, we travel east to a state where the collapse of the coal industry has left families stranded and communities struggling to survive. What happens when an industry that once fueled the nation's prosperity suddenly disappears? Let's find out. West Virginia. Oh, West Virginia, affectionately called Almost Heaven, might want to consider rebranding itself as Almost Hopeless, at least for residents struggling to get by. Once powered by coal mines and the sweat of hard-working miners, the state is now on a slippery slope, with a poverty rate of 16.7% and a declining population. The coal industry, which once employed thousands of workers and kept the lights on, has seen its production plummet from 158 million tons in 2008 to just 81 million tons in 2021. As of 2023, the industry employs only about 14,014 workers, leaving behind ghost towns where thriving communities once stood. Housing prices are surprisingly low, with the average home costing $261,600. But don't celebrate just yet. 22.3% of residents are still considered cost-burdened, meaning even these inexpensive homes are out of reach for many. Adding to the challenge is an aging population left behind by younger family members who have fled to areas with better prospects and fewer potholes. Exacerbating the state's decline is its struggle with opioid addiction and chronic health issues on an alarming scale. In 2023, opioid overdose deaths reached 71.4 per 100,000 people, one of the highest rates in the nation. And while rural homelessness isn't as visible as the tent cities and urban centers, it is no less real, with a 24% increase since 2021 as families double up in cars and motels. Still, it's not all doom and gloom. Grassroots organizations like Coalfield Development are retraining former miners for new careers in technology and renewable energy. They've supported or launched 72 new businesses, creating an additional 800 jobs. Even tourism is throwing West Virginia a lifeline, with revenues up by 5.6% in 2023, thanks to hiking, rafting, and plenty of people seeking destinations without Wi-Fi. Federal infrastructure investments are also flowing in, including $3 billion for broadband and road upgrades. From the coal mines of West Virginia, we see a state grappling not just with economic decline but also with a profound opioid crisis. Stay tuned as we delve into the challenges this community is facing. Kentucky. Kentucky, the land of bluegrass melodies, bourbon barrels, and lightning-fast horses, is racing straight into a crisis that's anything but glamorous. With a poverty rate of 16.4%, this state finds itself trapped in a downward spiral, dragged down by industrial decline, a crushing opioid epidemic, and a startling rise in homelessness. Once thriving on coal mines and manufacturing plants, Kentucky has seen 85% of its manufacturing jobs vanish over the past 3 decades, leaving rural communities like Harlan County as desolate as a country song about heartbreak. Making matters worse, the opioid crisis is more potent than even the strongest barrel-aged bourbon, with over 1,984 overdose deaths reported in the year 2023. And more than 16.3% of adults face substance use disorders, adding another layer of hardship. As the job market stagnates, homelessness is rising faster than the finish line speed of a Derby winner. In Louisville, shelters are stretched to 120% of their capacity, and across the state, over 3,000 people sleep without a roof over their heads every night. Meanwhile, more than 54.3% of renters spend over 30% of their income on housing, making affordable housing feel more mythical than the Yeti. If that weren't enough, Kentucky ranks a dismal 44th in high school graduation rates, with just 85.3% of students finishing on time. The lack of educational pipelines fuels the cycle, making well-paying jobs as rare as a dry county in these parts. So, what happens when a state is stuck between its glorious past and an uncertain future? From bourbon barrels to unemployment blues, Kentucky is struggling. But it's not alone in its fight to bounce back. Next, we're heading south to explore rural poverty and healthcare challenges that present their own set of trials. Stay tuned, the picture will only get clearer from here. Arkansas. Arkansas, often called the natural state, is grappling with some highly unnatural problems. Beneath its picturesque landscapes and fertile fields lies a harsh reality with a poverty rate of 16.3%. The state struggles with limited healthcare services, low wages, and rural infrastructure that seems untouched since the invention of sliced bread. In some rural areas, finding a doctor is like searching for Bigfoot, possible, but requiring a lot of effort and even more luck. More than 10% of Arkansas's residents remain uninsured, and the state ranks 47th overall in healthcare. Meanwhile, schools in many rural areas are as underfunded as a college student's Friday night plans, leaving children without the means to break free from generational poverty. The median household income here is just $52,123 per year, compared to the national average of $76,000. And if you're looking for affordable housing, don't worry, Arkansas is short by 57,757 rental units for low-income tenants, and 69% of extremely low-income households spend more than half their income on rent. Take Robert, for example, a 67-year-old retiree from rural Arkansas. After a factory closure, he has been struggling to get by on his Social Security check of $1,500 a month, most of which vanishes into the black hole of rising medication and utility costs. That leaves him just $300 for food, a budget so tight it squeaks. "I worked hard all my life, but now I'm just trying to survive," he says, as arthritis gnaws at his hands and treatment remains a luxury he cannot afford. It's not just individuals like Robert. Nearly 54% of rural hospitals are at risk of closing within the next 6 to 7 years, and small farms are disappearing faster than cookies at a bake sale, replaced by large corporate operations that require fewer workers. Still, not all is lost. Organizations like the Northwest Arkansas Food Bank distributed 13.8 million pounds of food and provided over 11.1 million meals in the year 2022. Arkansas's Works expanded Medicaid to help reduce the uninsured rate, and programs promoting sustainable agriculture, such as those run by Heifer International, are equipping local farmers with the tools they need to rise above the crisis. Arkansas may be down, but its people are proving that resilience and grassroots efforts can serve as a lifeline, even in the hardest times. Next, we head west to a state where sunshine and wealth collide with staggering homelessness and inequality. Trust us, you won't want to miss what's happening in this state. California. California, the land of tech tycoons, golden beaches, and a housing crisis so severe it makes a Hollywood disaster movie look tame. With over 185,000 residents experiencing homelessness, the largest homeless population in the nation, this golden state is losing its luster faster than a poorly made sequel. Housing costs have skyrocketed, with the median home price reaching $854,490 in average rents in cities like San Francisco and Los Angeles, soaring above $3,000 per month. More than 56% of Californians are spending over half their income just to keep a roof over their heads, and that's assuming they even still have one. Meanwhile, Silicon Valley rakes in billions of dollars, leaving service workers and middle-class families clinging to the edges like extras in a dystopian thriller. This wealth gap, combined with a safety net stretched thinner than a bargain taco shell, has driven California's adjusted poverty rate to 18.1%, the highest in the country. And then there are the tent cities. In Los Angeles alone, where more than 75,312 people are homeless, makeshift neighborhoods have sprung up under freeways and along riverbanks, creating an environmental crisis. Over 10,000 unhoused individuals now live near rivers, increasing pollution risks for both people and ecosystems. It seems the state's famed sustainability efforts have overlooked the need to sustain its own residents. Take James, a 62-year-old veteran who has called Los Angeles home his entire life. After losing his job during the pandemic, he now lives in a tent near Skid Row, searching daily for food and medical shelter. "I served my country, but now I feel invisible," he says, capturing the daily struggles faced by 11% of California's homeless veterans. California's story is a stark reminder that wealth doesn't equate to happiness. Even in a state with immense resources, systemic issues like housing inequality and income disparity can create a perfect storm of crises. From the sprawling tent cities of California, we head north to a state renowned for its picturesque beauty but battling one of the highest per capita homelessness rates in the nation. Stay tuned for the next chapter. Oregon. Oregon, the land of craft beer, lush forests, and all things artisanal, also holds the dubious distinction of having the highest per capita homelessness rate in the United States, with more than 50 homeless individuals for every 10,000 residents. Despite its progressive reputation, Portland's housing market has skyrocketed to nearly astronomical levels, where the average rent for a one-bedroom apartment is $1,500 per month. That's enough to make even the most die-hard hipsters consider moving into a tent, and many already have. Over 27% of renters in Oregon spend more than half their income just to keep a roof over their heads, leaving little room in the budget for essentials like kombucha or, food. Adding to the crisis, Oregon ranks 49th out of 51 in access to mental health care, which pairs with the state's other dubious distinction as a leader in substance abuse disorders. 19.4% of Oregonians struggle with substance use disorders. Progressive policies, like statewide rent control, have slowed the pace of rent increases, but with a shortage of more than 128,000 affordable housing units, this is akin to slapping a Band-Aid on a leaking dam. Homeless encampments are scattered across cities like Portland, where over 3,000 individuals live without shelter in Multnomah County alone. Community efforts to address the crisis often run into the wall of not-in-my-backyard attitudes, with some residents opposing shelters because, apparently, nothing lowers property values faster than helping the less fortunate. Even the environment hasn't escaped unscathed. Camps near rivers and parks have sparked concerns about pollution and health risks, leaving state officials juggling humanitarian needs with public safety. Still, Oregon's signature ingenuity shines through. Tiny home villages like Dignity Village and Right to Dream 2 provide safe temporary housing and have reduced chronic homelessness among participants by nearly 25% within a year. The state's mobile crisis intervention units, modeled after Eugene's Cahoots program, save millions of dollars annually by redirecting mental health calls from the police to trained professionals. The paradox of Oregon is striking a state celebrated for its innovation and natural beauty, yet grappling with challenges that leave thousands with nowhere to call home. The pressing question is whether the Beaver State can build a system where everyone, not just the well-off, has a chance to thrive. Meanwhile, as Portlanders sip their cold brews and debate the merits of rent control, the crisis simmers, a reminder that even paradise comes at a price. New York. New York, also known as the Empire State, is crumbling under the weight of its own contradictions. Sure, the city boasts dazzling skyscrapers, iconic landmarks, and the relentless hustle of Wall Street, but try telling that to the nearly 147,000 people who are homeless every single night. Housing in the Big Apple is more expensive than the proverbial golden goose, more than $4,000 a month to rent a one-bedroom apartment, if you're lucky enough to secure a spot. Upstate isn't faring much better either, with cities like Buffalo and Rochester experiencing rent hikes faster than the price of Broadway tickets on opening night. Roughly 1 in 4 renters across the entire state now spend more than half of their income just to keep a roof over their heads. And we haven't even started on New York's wealth gap. It's the kind of disparity that could make even a Wall Street broker blush. Low-income workers, the backbone of the service economy, are struggling to make ends meet, often juggling jobs as yoga instructors or gig workers, while the state's poverty-adjusted rate stubbornly sits at 18.2%. On top of that, New York is witnessing a mass exodus of residents. More than 481,000 people fled to more affordable pastures like Florida and Texas in just the last year. Can you blame them? Between the housing crisis, mental health struggles, and a public support system thinner than pizza dough, New York's challenges are as vast as the Hudson River. But don't grab the tissues just yet. There's still a glimmer of hope amidst the chaos. Programs like Housing Our Neighbors are working to create 20,000 affordable units by the year 2025. The state has also poured an additional $1 billion into mobile mental health crisis units, bringing much-needed care directly to the streets. The Empire State may be in decline, but it's far from out of hope if it can muster the political will to tackle its towering challenges with the same determination as hailing a cab in midtown traffic. Now, as New York struggles to shore up its shaky foundations, we turn our attention to a state famous for maple syrup, rolling hills, and surprisingly, one of the highest per capita homelessness rates in the country. How did such a picturesque state end up on this list? Stay tuned to find out. Vermont. Vermont, famous for its postcard-perfect landscapes and syrup so good it could make pancakes weep with joy, hides a less charming reality beneath its idyllic beauty. With one of the highest per capita homelessness rates in the United States, more than 50 people per every 10,000 residents, this small, tranquil state is grappling with a housing crisis that's anything but quaint. The median home price has skyrocketed to $425,300, a hefty sum for a state where the median household income is $59,332. Meanwhile, the cost to rent a modest apartment hovers around $2,000 per month, leaving many Vermonters feeling like they're paying Ritz-Carlton prices for Motel 6 accommodations. Job opportunities in agriculture and tourism, Vermont's primary sources of income, are often insufficient to support a living wage, with 44% of renter households earning less than 50% of the area's median income. Add to that the aging infrastructure. More than 20,000 homes are more antique than charming and in dire need of repair, and a climate that turns the state into a massive freezer for months on end. And it's clear Vermont has its share of challenges. Take Emma, whose world turned upside down during the pandemic. After losing her job, she and her 2 children moved into a motel funded by a state housing voucher, unsure if they would ever have a stable home again. "I just want my kids to feel safe," she says, trying to smile through the exhaustion written all over her face. Sadly, Emma's story is far from unique. Vermont's strict zoning laws and limited housing development, the state needs an additional 24,000 to 36,000 homes by 2029, make finding affordable housing feel like winning the lottery. Despite these hurdles, Vermont is not shrugging its shoulders. The state has allocated $44 million for the upcoming fiscal year to emergency housing programs and is working to add 800 affordable housing units by 2025 through organizations like the Champlain Housing Trust. Even the harsh winters, with temperatures often dipping below 0 degrees Fahrenheit, have not frozen Vermont's determination to innovate solutions like tiny homes and refurbished shelters. Vermont's story is a paradox: rustic beauty colliding with systemic struggles. But beneath the challenges lies a resilience that refuses to let its people fall through the cracks. This is a state that may be down, but, as anyone who has ever visited will tell you, Vermont never stays down for long. America, the land of dreams and opportunity, or is it? Beneath the glittering skylines of California, the soulful rhythms of Louisiana, and the serene mountains of Vermont lies a crisis spiraling out of control. Did you know that over 500,000 people in the U.S. are homeless tonight, with countless more teetering on the brink of poverty? From California's tent cities to West Virginia's forgotten coal towns, we're uncovering the harsh realities of America's fastest failing states. But it's not just about the numbers, it's about the people, the stories of survival, resilience, and hope. Ready to explore the truth behind the statistics? Let's dive in. 1. California. California, often regarded as the land of opportunity and golden dreams, is grappling with a profound crisis. This state, home to tech giants, sun-drenched beaches, and sprawling metropolises, now holds the title of having the largest homeless population in the nation. More than 185,000 residents are without housing, many living in vast tent cities stretching under highways and along riverbanks. For these individuals, California's once bright promise has become a daily struggle for survival. The numbers paint a grim picture. Housing costs in California are among the highest in the country, with the median home price exceeding $854,490, and average monthly rents in cities like San Francisco and Los Angeles reaching $3,000. Over 56% of Californians spend more than half their income just to keep a roof over their heads, if they are fortunate enough to have one. These skyrocketing costs, coupled with stagnant wages for middle-class workers and service employees, have created a devastating gap between the state's wealthiest residents and everyone else. While tech moguls in Silicon Valley amass billions of dollars, families on the margins of society live in precarious conditions, like extras in a disaster film no one signed up to star in. California's adjusted poverty rate stands at 18.1%, the highest in the nation, highlighting the harsh reality beneath its glamorous surface. In Los Angeles alone, over 75,312 individuals are experiencing homelessness, many residing in makeshift encampments. These camps represent not just a humanitarian crisis, but an environmental one. More than 10,000 homeless individuals now live near rivers, posing significant pollution risks to both people and ecosystems. California's renowned efforts toward sustainable development seem to have overlooked the fundamental human need for shelter. For people like James, a 62-year-old veteran, this crisis hits close to home. After losing his job during the pandemic, James now lives in a tent near Skid Row. His days are consumed by an unrelenting search for food and shelter. "I served my country, but now I feel invisible," he says, his voice heavy with resignation. James's story is far from unique. 11% of California's homeless population are veterans, many of whom feel abandoned by the very system they once served. California's paradox is stark. Immense wealth coexists with widespread inequality. Despite its vast resources, systemic issues such as housing inequity, income disparity, and a fragile social safety net have converged to create a perfect storm of crisis. The result? A state struggling to sustain even its most vulnerable residents. What do you think about the issues California is currently facing? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. As we leave California's tent cities, we move on to another state grappling with its own housing and homelessness crisis. Stay tuned as we explore the challenges and resilience shaping their story. 2. Louisiana. Louisiana, a state renowned for its vibrant jazz rhythms, rich gumbo, and the electrifying energy of Mardi Gras, contrasts sharply beneath its lively exterior. With a poverty rate nearing 19%, the second highest in the United States, the state's struggles are as persistent as the beat of a marching band. Louisiana's economy is as fragile as the glittering Mardi Gras beads scattered on its streets, beautiful but delicate. Over-reliance on oil, gas, and tourism has left the state vulnerable to economic shifts. When oil prices plummet or hurricanes strike the coast, thousands lose their jobs and face financial instability. Speaking of hurricanes, Louisiana bears the scars of nature's wrath. Events like Hurricane Katrina, which displaced more than 1.5 million residents and caused damages exceeding $160 billion, and Hurricane Ida, adding another $75 billion in destruction, have left communities struggling to recover. Many residents still live in homes damaged by past storms or face the near impossible task of rebuilding on modest incomes. It's an endless cycle of destruction and recovery, leaving residents wondering when the next storm will upend their lives. Housing adds another layer to the crisis. In New Orleans, where renting a modest two-bedroom apartment ranges from over $1,300 to nearly $2,000 per month, Middle East families earning just under $60,000 are struggling to make ends meet. Many spend over 30% of their income on rent, forced to make heartbreaking decisions: housing, food, or healthcare. Healthcare fares a little better. With an uninsured rate of 10%, among the highest in the nation, access to medical care remains out of reach for many. For single mother Marie in Baton Rouge, these challenges are a daily reality. Juggling 2 jobs to make ends meet, she skips meals to feed her children while waiting for repairs on her storm-ravaged home. "There are days I feel like I'm letting my kids down," she says, her weary eyes telling a story shared by countless others. These personal struggles fuel a larger crisis. Homelessness is on the rise, with over 3,000 people lacking stable shelter in 2024. Louisiana also faces the nation's highest violent crime rate, compounding the difficulties for its residents. Amid these challenges, Louisiana's resilience shines through. Grassroots organizations are stepping in where larger systems falter. The Louisiana Housing Alliance is working to provide affordable housing, and the Make It Right Foundation has rebuilt 150 sustainable homes in New Orleans' lower Ninth Ward. Before moving to another state that is facing other crises, I have a special 10-second request for all of you who are listening. If you can help me in any way, just hit the notification bell and press the subscribe button. That means the world. It helps this channel immensely. And if you do that for me, I promise my team and I will do everything we can to make this program even better for you. Do we have a deal? 3. Oregon. Oregon, a state renowned for its stunning landscapes and artisanal charm, holds a sobering truth behind its progressive image. With the highest per capita homelessness rate in the United States, more than 50 people per 10,000 residents, this picturesque state is grappling with a crisis that even its lush forests and craft beer culture cannot overshadow. Portland, Oregon's largest city, embodies these challenges. The average cost of renting a modest one-bedroom apartment exceeds $1,500 per month, forcing more than 27% of renters to spend over half their income on housing. For many, this leaves little money for essentials like food or healthcare, pushing an increasing number of people into homeless encampments now stretch across urban and rural areas, posing both humanitarian and environmental issues, as camps near rivers pollute water sources and strain public resources. The housing crisis is further exacerbated by Oregon's ranking as 49th out of 51 in access to mental health services. Nearly 1/5 of residents, or about 19%, struggle with substance use disorders. Without adequate services, those battling addiction and mental health challenges are left behind, making homelessness not just an economic issue, but a public health crisis. Efforts to curb these issues, such as statewide rent control, have slowed the pace of rent increases but have not addressed the shortage of more than 128,000 affordable housing units. Meanwhile, community-driven solutions often face resistance from local residents, who fear that shelters and affordable housing projects will lower property values. This not-in-my-backyard mentality stymies progress, leaving many individuals without safe housing options. Amid these challenges, Oregon's spirit of innovation offers a glimmer of hope. Programs like Dignity Village and Right to Dream 2 provide safe, temporary housing solutions, reducing chronic homelessness by nearly 25% within a year for participants. Eugene Seahoot's program, a mobile crisis intervention unit that redirects mental health calls from police to trained professionals, saves millions of dollars annually, while providing compassionate care to those in need. Oregon's predicament underscores a troubling paradox: a state celebrated for its progressive policies and natural beauty, yet struggling to meet the basic needs of all its residents. The question remains, can the Beaver State build a system where everyone, not just the privileged, has the opportunity to thrive? As Oregon grapples with homelessness and the housing crisis, solutions will require not only ingenuity, but also a collective effort to prioritize people over property values. From the bustling streets of Portland to the serene forests, this crisis serves as a reminder that even the most idyllic places are not immune to systemic failures. Are you living in Oregon? Are you experiencing the challenges in this state? We would love to hear about your experiences in the comments below. 4. New York. New York, the iconic Empire State, is a land of contrasts. Towering skyscrapers, the bustling wealth of Wall Street, and cultural landmarks like Broadway captivate the world. Yet beneath this glamorous facade, nearly 147,000 residents face homelessness each night, a statistic that reflects a deeper, systemic crisis. Living in New York City comes with a price tag that few can afford: Renting a modest one-bedroom apartment in the city averages over $4,000 per month, making it unaffordable for many middle-income families, let alone low-income workers. The story is not much better upstate. In cities like Buffalo and Rochester, rents are rising rapidly, with about 1 in 4 renters across the state now spending more than half their income on housing. This strain isn't just about money, it's a human crisis. Low-employed workers, many of whom are the backbone of New York's service economy, juggle multiple jobs just to make ends meet. The state's poverty rate, adjusted for cost of living, is over 18%, showing that even employed individuals struggle to survive in one of the most expensive regions in the world. New York's challenges extend beyond city limits. In the past year alone, over 481,000 residents packed their bags and left for states with more affordable living conditions like Florida and Texas. With every resident who leaves, the state loses not just taxpayers, but also the diversity and vitality that once made it a beacon of opportunity. Homelessness in New York is exacerbated by inadequate mental health care services and a safety net thinner than a New York-style pizza crust. For those living on the streets, accessing basic health care, let alone mental health support, is often unattainable. Without intervention, these residents remain trapped in a cycle of instability that is nearly impossible to break. Yet even in the face of these significant challenges, New York finds ways to push back. Initiatives like Housing for Neighbors aim to create 20,000 affordable housing units by 2025, providing much-needed relief for struggling families. The state has also invested $1 billion into mobile mental health crisis units, a substantial step toward addressing the root causes of homelessness. New York's story is one of contradictions, but is far from over. The state's challenges are immense, but so are its capacity for innovation and progress. As we move away from the bustling streets of New York City, we turn to Mississippi. Stay tuned as we uncover the surprising truths behind this unfolding narrative. 5. Mississippi. Mississippi, the birthplace of the blues and a state steeped in Southern charm, is grappling with harsh realities. With 19% of its population living below the poverty line, the highest rate in the nation, the Magnolia State struggles with economic, educational, and healthcare disparities, casting a shadow over its rich. Mississippi's economy heavily relies on agriculture and the service sector, industries that fail to provide stability or growth for workers. The median household income stands at just over $55,000, significantly lower than the national average, forcing families to make do with low wages and rising costs. While the unemployment rate of 3% might seem low, it masks widespread underemployment and part-time work that leave many families in financial precarity. For many, keeping a roof over their heads is a constant battle. A modest 2-bedroom apartment costs about $1,000 per month, while most low-income families can only afford around $500, creating a seemingly insurmountable housing gap. Mississippi's education system ranks 49th in child welfare, leaving many young residents unprepared for higher-paying jobs that could break the cycle of poverty. The lack of educational opportunities exacerbates economic challenges, limiting upward mobility and perpetuating struggles across generations. Access to healthcare is equally grim, with 13% of adults uninsured and more than 1/3 of residents living in areas with limited medical services. Basic care feels like a luxury. Many face impossible choices between paying for medication, groceries, or rent. In the Mississippi Delta, known for its breathtaking landscapes, healthcare services remain as scarce as a summer breeze on a sweltering day. Even grocery shopping poses logistical challenges. 20% of residents live in food deserts, where access to fresh produce is almost non-existent. Some drive more than 40 miles just to find fruits and vegetables, stretching already tight budgets and contributing to poor health outcomes. Despite these challenges, Mississippi's resilience shines through. Initiatives like the Mississippi Housing Partnership are helping families secure affordable housing, while Mississippi Works provides vocational training in industries like renewable energy, opening doors to greater opportunities. Organizations such as the Mississippi Food Network serve over 430,000 residents annually, offering critical support to those in need. While these efforts are making a difference, true progress will require systemic investments in education, healthcare, and infrastructure. Mississippi's story is a reminder that even a state rich in culture and tradition cannot thrive without addressing the cracks in its foundation. Now, as we leave behind the mournful tunes of Mississippi, we turn westward to a state renowned for its coal industry. Stay tuned as we explore the struggles and hopes of West Virginia. 6. West Virginia. West Virginia, often referred to as almost heaven for its breathtaking mountain views and serene landscapes, is facing a reality far from paradise. With a poverty rate nearing 17% and a steadily declining population, the state finds itself grappling with challenges rooted in a waning coal industry and exacerbated by modern crises such as opioid addiction and rural homelessness. The coal industry, once the backbone of West Virginia's economy, has seen a dramatic decline. Production has dropped from 158 million tons in 2008 to just 81 million tons in 2021. Today, only about 14,000 workers remain employed in coal mining, leaving behind ghost towns that were once thriving communities. This economic downturn has driven younger residents to leave in search of better opportunities, creating an aging population left to navigate the consequences. While housing costs are surprisingly low, the median home price is around $261,000. Many still cannot afford them. Over 22% of residents are considered cost-burdened, meaning even these modest prices are out of reach. Adding to West Virginia's woes is a devastating opioid epidemic. In 2023, the state recorded an opioid overdose death rate of 71 per 100,000 people, one of the highest in the nation. This crisis has not only torn families apart, but also placed immense strain on healthcare and social services. Chronic health issues further compound the challenges, with many residents lacking access to adequate medical care. Homelessness is also on the rise, particularly in rural areas where it remains hidden but no less real. Since 2021, rural homelessness in West Virginia has increased by 24%. With families often forced to live in cars or motels to survive. Despite these challenges, West Virginia refuses to give up. Grassroots organizations like Coalfield Development are leading efforts to retrain former miners for careers in technology and renewable energy. To date, they have supported or launched 72 new businesses, created 800 jobs, and brought hope to communities long reliant on coal. Tourism is another bright spot. In 2023, revenue from outdoor activities like hiking, rafting, and ecotourism grew by 5%, as visitors sought destinations without Wi-Fi to escape the hustle and bustle of city life. Federal infrastructure investments, including $3 billion for broadband and road upgrades, are also helping modernize the state and open new opportunities. As we leave the coal mines and mountain trails of West Virginia, our focus shifts to another state grappling with its own unique challenges. Stay tuned as we explore how communities across America are overcoming crises and finding hope in unexpected places. 7. Kentucky. Kentucky, known for its rolling bluegrass hills, world-class bourbon, and the iconic Kentucky Derby, is facing sobering challenges. With a poverty rate of over 16%, the state is spiraling downward due to industrial decline, an escalating opioid crisis, and a significant rise in homelessness. Once powered by coal mines and manufacturing plants, Kentucky has lost 85% of its manufacturing jobs over the past 30 years. This economic downturn has left rural areas like Harlan County as empty as a haunting country song. With limited job opportunities, families are forced to either leave their communities or the opioid epidemic in Kentucky has exacerbated these challenges. In 2023, the state reported more than 1,900 overdose deaths, and over 16% of adults struggle with substance use disorders. This crisis has torn families apart and overwhelmed healthcare providers, leaving scars on communities already struggling to survive. As the job market remains stagnant, homelessness is rising at an alarming rate. In Louisville, shelters are operating at 120% capacity, and statewide, over 3,000 people sleep without shelter each night. With more than 54% of renters spending over 30% of their income on housing, finding affordable homes seems as mythical as spotting the Loch Ness Monster. Kentucky's education system is struggling to provide pathways to prosperity. Ranked 44th nationwide for high school graduation rates, only 85% of students graduate on time. Without a solid educational foundation, the state cannot build pipelines to well-paying careers, perpetuating cycles of poverty and hardship. Despite these challenges, Kentucky is not without hope. Local initiatives and nonprofits are working to address the state's pressing issues. Programs like the Kentucky Recovery Network support those battling addiction, while community-driven efforts aim to revitalize rural areas through investments in agriculture and sustainable development. Tourism, especially tied to the bourbon industry and outdoor recreation, offers another bright spot. With its rich cultural heritage and natural beauty, Kentucky has the potential to leverage these assets for economic growth, provided investments in education and infrastructure follow suit. Next, we'll head south to explore how rural poverty and healthcare challenges intersect in ways that impact entire communities. Stay tuned for the next chapter as the story continues. 8. New Mexico. New Mexico, often celebrated for its breathtaking landscapes and rich cultural heritage, is facing harsh realities that its natural beauty cannot conceal. With a poverty rate of nearly 18%, one of the highest in the nation, the state serves as a stark reminder that charm alone cannot pay the bills. For many New Mexico residents, finding a high-paying job is akin to searching for water in the desert, an almost impossible task. The state's unemployment rate is 4%, and the median household income of just over $62,000 does little to offset skyrocketing rents. More than 21% of households spend over half their income on rent, leaving many families teetering on the brink of financial collapse. This economic struggle is further exacerbated by rural isolation. In many areas, job opportunities are scarce, forcing residents to commute long distances for low-wage jobs. The choice is often a grim one: stay in resource-deprived areas or endure costly, lengthy trips to urban centers. Access to healthcare is another uphill battle. Over 1 million New Mexicans live in areas with severe shortages of healthcare providers, turning a simple doctor's visit into an hours-long journey. For seniors like Juanita, a grandmother raising her 3 grandchildren on $1,200 a month from Social Security, the lack of nearby care is profoundly painful. Her mobile home is deteriorating, but every penny she earns goes toward keeping the lights on. "I just want to give my grandkids a better life," she says, her voice heavy with emotion. In Native American communities, the challenges are even more daunting. Over 30% of households in the Navajo Nation still lack running water, a statistic that seems more fitting for the 19th century than the 21st. Homelessness in New Mexico is on the rise, increasing by 48% in 2023 compared to the previous year. This surge reflects the shortage of affordable housing options and the state's ongoing economic struggles. At the same time, New Mexico ranks 49th in high school graduation rates, leaving many young people without the tools they need to escape poverty. Despite these significant challenges, there are signs of progress. Organizations like the New Mexico Coalition to End Homelessness are providing rental assistance to thousands of residents, helping families keep their homes. Meanwhile, federal grants have finally reached Native American reservations, funding much-needed infrastructure improvements like running water and housing repairs. 9. Vermont. Vermont, with its picturesque landscapes and world-famous maple syrup, often feels like a slice of paradise. However, hidden beneath this idyllic beauty is a harsh reality. The state is grappling with a housing crisis that has made it one of the places with the highest rate of homelessness per capita in the United States, more than 50 people per 10,000 residents. The cost of living in Vermont paints a challenging picture. The median home price has soared to over $425,000, while the median household income is just below $60,000. Renting isn't much easier. A modest apartment costs around $2,000 per month, leaving many Vermonters wondering how to stretch their paychecks to cover both rent and daily. Nearly 44% of renter households earn less than 50% of the area median income, making housing affordability a distant dream for many. Vermont's aging infrastructure further exacerbates the crisis. Over 20,000 homes are in dire need of repair, many of them built decades ago and ill-suited for the state's harsh winters. Strict zoning laws and restrictions on new housing developments worsen the problem, creating a shortage of 24,000 to 36,000 homes needed by the year 2029. For families like Emma's, the challenges are painfully real. After losing her job during the pandemic, Emma and her 2 children moved into a motel funded by the state's housing voucher program. "I just want my kids to feel safe," she shared, her voice heavy with exhaustion. Emma's story reflects the experiences of countless Vermonters facing instability despite state support programs. Despite these barriers, Vermont is not giving up. The state has allocated $44 million for emergency housing programs in the upcoming fiscal year. Organizations like the Champlain Housing Trust are spearheading efforts to build 800 affordable homes by 2025, offering hope to families like Emma's. Innovative solutions are also beginning to take shape. Tiny home projects and refurbished shelters are providing temporary relief for the homeless. These efforts, while insufficient to fully address the crisis, demonstrate Vermont's determination to tackle its challenges. As we leave the frosty lands of Vermont, its struggles serve as a reminder that even the smallest states face monumental challenges. Next, we move to a region where homelessness and inequality unfold in entirely different dimensions. Stay tuned as the journey continues. 10. Arkansas. Arkansas, known as the natural state, boasts breathtaking landscapes and fertile farmland. However, beneath this serene exterior, the state grapples with a host of deep-rooted challenges. With a poverty rate of over 16%, Arkansas struggles with limited healthcare services, low wages, and outdated rural infrastructure. In many rural areas, finding a doctor is like hunting for Bigfoot. It's possible, but it takes significant effort and a fair bit of luck. Over 10% of residents remain uninsured, and Arkansas ranks 47th in healthcare access nationwide. The situation is dire, with nearly 54% of rural hospitals at risk of closure within 6 to 7 years. For older residents relying on limited healthcare services, such as Robert, a 67-year-old retiree, this reality is harsh. After losing his factory job, Robert's Social Security benefits of $1,500 a month barely cover his rising medical and utility bills, leaving him just $300 for food. "I worked hard all my life, but now I'm just trying to survive," he says, his untreated arthritis a consequence of unaffordable medical care. Affordable housing is equally scarce. Arkansas lacks 57,000 rental units for low-income families, and nearly 69% of extremely low-income households spend more than half of their income on rent. With such limited options, many are forced to choose between basic necessities, often teetering on the brink of homelessness. The median household income in Arkansas is just over $52,000, significantly lower than the national average of $76,000. Low wages are further exacerbated by underfunded schools, particularly in rural areas which struggle to provide children with the tools they need to escape generational poverty. Without strong educational opportunities, the cycle of economic disparity remains unchecked. Despite these challenges, the people of Arkansas are demonstrating that resilience and grassroots efforts can serve as a lifeline. The Northwest Arkansas Food Bank distributed over 13 million pounds of food in 2022, providing more than 11 million meals to families in need. Programs like Arkansas Works, which expanded Medicaid, have helped reduce the uninsured rate, while initiatives such as those from Heifer International equip local farmers with tools for sustainable agriculture. If you found today's video interesting, don't hesitate to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Your support is very important to us. Be sure to check out the next video appearing on your screen. You're sure to love the content we bring. Please leave a comment about which country you'd like us to explore next. Thank you for watching, and see you in the latest video.